cave, and Frank wanted to give tours till he could not do it anymore. He gave tours through here till he was 84 years old. So if you imagine you're on Frank's old tours and you're trying to find your way out, it could be pretty darn confusing, right? So what Frank would do is he would point out cave formations, and they are great guides. This one's called the Cave Witch. So here's her scraggly hair.
Look at the nose.
Got eye, yep, a big wart, a long nose. She's got one snaggle tooth, and that's because she likes to eat limestone cookies. She is kind of a creepy looking witch, but trust me, she is a very, very good witch. And that is because her nose points you towards the entrance to the cave.
Oh.
And the shadow of the cat. If you guys remember an old cartoon character named Mr. Magoo, he's right here. There's his bald head, his eyebrow, nose, lips, and he's drinking a cup of coffee. And one last one that's a little more modern, right over here is SpongeBob and his best friend Patrick. Yeah, kind of cheesy, but I love it. And that's actually how it got the name Colossal Cave. When they got out of the cave, the guy goes, that cave is colossal and we have no clue how big it actually is. And they named it Colossal Cave after that because it was named Mountain Springs Cave after that Solomon Lit guy's hotel, which was Mountain Springs Hotel. After all. Dioxide and acid, and the walls blew millions of tiny little bubbles. Over time, those bubbles turned into the popcorn. It is also commonly called cave coral. Cool thing about this room, when those monsoons hit a few summers ago that wiped out our electricity, this room had about 8 inches of standing water in it, and it felt like it was raining in here. We had water running down the walls, and we got all kinds of new growth on the walls. So if you look at all these lighter blotches everywhere, that's all new growth that happened a few summers ago, and it's really significant to us because they basically said the cave would never ever grow like this again. You get little trickles of growth every once in a while, but not whole rooms coming back to life. So that was really cool. And even cooler than that is our cave holds on to the glow.
Whoa.
So I get to do all kinds of cave artwork and I don't get in trouble. And then everyone seems to like hearts and stars. Honestly, that's all I'm decent at drawing. Once the sea dried up, all of that life got compressed and heated and mixed with a bunch of mud and sand, and over time, that's what our limestone was made out of. The calcite that was in the limestone, for some reason, it was really good at absorbing that glowing or the phosphorescence. And then when the rocks got eaten away by that acidic water, one of the only things left was the calcite. Well, when the calcite mixed with the water, it pretty much made hard water. And if you've lived in the desert, you've probably dealt with hard water. If you think of our formations as millions and millions of years of hard water buildup, it's kind of anticlimactic, but it's pretty true. Our cave is millions of years of hard water buildup. We've actually had 23 different movies filmed in here. We've had National Geographic, Sesame Street, even Disney did a movie down here back in the day. But to be totally honest, the majority of the movies filmed in the cave, really bad, low budget, scary movies. Sesame Street, they did their thing in here, and it was all about Big Bird and Cookie Monster came into the cave to search for magic birdseed and stolen cookies. Well, Big Bird and Cookie Monster wandered in here. They ended up running into this guy. This guy right here is the cave T-Rex. So here's his eye, brow, nose, and his big crack for a mouth. And once Big Bird saw him, Big Bird thought that was a real cave T-Rex. And technically, Big Bird's a giant chicken, right? Scared him so bad, he ran away from the T-Rex and he ran right through that wall. That is our Big Bird hole. It is a natural formation. It's called a keyhole formation. Thing I find really funny, this was in the 80s. Somebody had to write Sesame Street a letter and be like, just so you guys know, we have a big bird hole and a rock T-Rex. You might want to come down here and do something with it. And apparently Sesame Street thought that was an amazing idea, and they did. It's called Sesame Goes West. The entrance that we came in, if you look to the right, you'll see a metal container that's next to a bench. It was an old mash container they pulled out of the cave where they were letting their mash ferment before they distilled it. I wonder how many CCC workers went blind. In the wood box, you'll see one of the original bulbs from the 2000 bulb system. They were big and didn't put out much light. They actually had to put them in groups of 3 and 5. Power tools or explosives. And the thing I really think is cool, they only modified about 2 to 4% of the walls to get people through here. So if you come up here, stalactite, her name is Cornelia, and she got that name because whoever discovered her a long time ago, they thought she looked just like a giant piece of corn on the cob. That is a true story, and you might notice that about 70% of the things that are named in here are named after food. This is where Frank has been spotted the most since he passed away. All right, folks, we're going to go into the living room. Base camp for a mapping expedition, and that's when they mapped the 39 miles. And on the 6th day, one of the guys in the crew realized, oh no, we're really low on food. So rather than restock, they literally picked up and left. And they said that cave is colossal, and we have no clue how big it actually is, and that's how it got the name Colossal Cave. The reason this is called the living room, though, is kind of cool. Frank was using it as a temporary living room for him and his family in the summers. He was having his wife and kids, and later his tours rappel down that hole about 3 stories, and they would come down here with all their gear and set up camp in the summers, and that's because the gift shop, and before that, a little wooden structure was Frank's house. And you can imagine being up there in the middle of an Arizona summer with no air conditioning. I mean, if you have a 71-degree cave out your front door, why not use it? The guy who took over the cave after Frank passed away, his name was Joe. Rumor is Joe's the one that wanted to make the cave famous, and he was having high-stakes poker games and parties down here in the 60s and 70s. And I wanted to show you this. This is kind of cool. This is called the cave base. And yes, I do go around the cave and hit random rocks to see if they make cool sounds. This stuff is cave ice. It's the only original part of the cave you're gonna walk on, and it's really important to know about cave ice if you ever explore a cave on your own. And that's because if you look over at this hunk of cave ice, you can see it is hollow underneath. This whole area where I'm standing used to be cave ice. They broke it out because it had thin spots where people could fall through. The way cave ice forms is way back, this area was a giant pool of water. And over time, when dust would fall in the water, the calcite in the water would crystallize off of it. It created a whole thick layer of crystal, and then when the cave dried out, all the water underneath went away. We know of certain areas in this cave where the space underneath the ice is almost 20 feet, and cave ice can be an inch or 2 thick like this, and you can easily walk on it. It can also be a centimeter or 2 thick, and you can fall through it. So if you're ever in a cave and it feels like you're walking on a big drum, be careful, you might be walking on a layer of cave ice. To show you, it's just calcite crystal like all the other stuff. It will hold the glow, just like all the other crystals. All right, folks, we're gonna go to the cathedral room. There's a glowing thing that I'm gonna show you folks in the back. Probably aren't gonna see it very well, but don't worry, I'm gonna have them move forward. I'll make sure you guys get to see it. It's one of my favorite things. come on upstairs, you'll see a cross section of a stalagmite so you can see what's inside of them. Guess what it is? Crystal! They kind of work out a deal with us, so what
We'll have to
we've
go
been
back
doing is,
together.
we'll let them come in and explore, and then they come in and they vacuum and they dust some of the formations from people dust on them and everything. So yeah, one on the far left kind of looks like a thumb. And then we also have a gargoyle that lives in here. So if you look up here, here's the gargoyle's face. He's got a big front paw right there, and his wing goes up like that. And then this last thing has absolutely nothing to do with cathedrals. But this guy right over here that I got my hand on, this is Bone Crusher. He got that name because he broke the nose of one of our tour guides. He was given a tour kind of like I'm doing, forgot he was behind him, turned around, got a face full of them. Watch out for him, Bone Crusher is not soft. And my favorite glowing thing to show everybody is right up there. So anything that's calcite crystal in the cave will glow like this as long as it doesn't get too much dust, pollen, or bad stuff all over it. Picture? Awesome. But if you look down there, you'll see stairs. And those are the stairs into the living room. So we're standing at Frank's shortcut. This is where he lowered his wife and kids and his tours. And he tied every person off to this stalagmite right here. You guys can come over and take a look. There's a bunch of rope wear on the side. There's also a tiny little hook that's embedded in here. I have no clue what they use that hook for. I really hope they weren't putting any kind of weight on it because it is not big enough for that. Oh, and it gets even better too. If you look at it under the black light, you can see all these little blue speckles all over this stalagmite. That is old candle wax. This area was caked in candle wax in the past because what they did is tied their ropes off, set their candles next to it, and rappelled over. Seems really safe, right? We're back, everybody! Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.